Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to get started. May the Most High guide my mind, my spirit, my body, my language, and my speech as I approach unto you, His people. Today's lesson is going to be on how and why do you pray? Or a better way to put it, why should you, or the proper positions or the proper instructions for prayer. A lot of us, shalom, shalom, a lot of us, being the children of Israel, I think I'm going to have to start this over one more time. I think I might have to do it on a wider screen so that if I do it on that screen, it won't work too properly. It's going to be a little bit difficult for me to read all that, but I'll do my best. Shabbat Shalom, Yedidiah. Shabbat Shalom, Carlin. Can you guys, am I coming through clear? Can you guys see me clear? Is this coming through the way it should be? We're going to get started with the lesson. Torah Rabbah. A lot of us, after leaving Christianity and walking away from the doctrines of men to the degree in which we have, there are things about that culture that seeps into us, into our subconscious mind. And we hold on to those traditions and we hold on to those customs and we incorporate them into our service of worshiping the Creator. So now we're going to try to take the opportunity to expose some of those bad habits and bad traits to ourselves so that we can begin to worship the Creator in our purest essence with all the energy that we have to give unto Him the best of us. Okay. Very good. Yedidiah. To the most revered power, unknown by most, desired by many, the power that hides himself in the minds, from the minds of the wicked, he who judges man by the integrity of man's mind, and hears and answers the prayers of the humble and the meek, the protector of us all. Of all creation, he is the protector, the master of all life and energy in all realms of existence, lover of all those who have been hurt or scarred physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. Thou art the comfort and the companion to all that are in need. Thank you, Creator, for loving us. Torah Rabbah. Shalom, shalom. All right, family, what you might want to do right now is go out and invite your people, your friends, send out some invites so that people can come into the room. Today's lesson is going to be pretty important. It's entitled The Power of Prayer. The lesson is posted in the room as well, so if you have two devices, you can always go there and watch the other device or read along with me as I read the document that I have prepared for this lesson. As always, before we begin in our lessons, we have to ask ourselves just a few things. Ask yourself, what do you expect from the Creator? When you came into this life and you abandoned the idolatrous behavior and lifestyle that you were living previous to this lifestyle, what did you hope or what did you expect to get from the Creator because of the shift or the change in lifestyle that you have done? What did you seek to acquire from Him? What did you seek to get from Him for those reasons? Basically, what was the reason why you had changed your behavior from the idolatrous behavior of worshiping whomever or whatever, or no worship at all, to whatever you were doing, until now when you came into the life of giving your all to the Most High King? What do you ever expect from Him? Have those expectations been met? What do you expect from the people of the Most High? How have you contributed to helping the people of the Most High be more like your expectations? Or do you get frustrated and decide you're going to walk away, not contribute, shut down because you hear things or see things that you disagree with? These things are utmost important when you come and you decide that you're going to worship the creator of all creation. You leave that idolatrous behavior alone and you begin to gravitate toward the worship of the Almighty. Second question you should ask yourself: what do you demand from the Creator through your actions and lifestyle? See, the Most High had covenants in this book that he promised to the children of Israel, or anyone throughout the earth that decides to worship and give him his praise. So what do you demand because of the lifestyle you live? What do you demand of the Creator? Because you expect a certain thing when you come into this walk from the Creator and from his creation, his people. But what do you do to transform from your ways of wickedness, your ways of idolatry, your ways of stealing or robbing or killing or whatever it is that you may do, that you know you do, inside of your spirit, to demand these things that you pray for from the Father? What do you do to demand this type of thing from the Almighty through your actions and your lifestyle? You know, some of us, we constantly find ourselves talking bad about others. Some of us have that spirit on us where we constantly, in the background or whenever we hold a conversation, we are constantly speaking ill about others, brothers and sisters, or however it might be, whether it be true or not. Well, that's one of those things that we must stop doing in order to get ourselves right before the Almighty. We cannot continuously backbite, talk bad about, cause others to look down at because we feel a certain kind of way, or because we think our position is a better position than their position, or however it might be. These types of things we have to get out of our behavior to condition ourselves to demand righteousness and powerful blessings from the Almighty. Okay? So we got to begin to do the things that are pleasing and right and acceptable unto him, and our behavior, our actions, and our deeds must be just that, pleasing, right, and acceptable unto him. So today, if the Creator allows and we have enough time, I'm going to show a demonstration of ways to pray, different ways to pray, which will all be backed up spiritually through the Tanakh, in different methods and ways in which our forefathers prayed. Okay? Lastly, question we have to ask, well, another question, not the last one. What was the reason why the Creator chose you from all people in the earth? Not just all people in the earth, but also think about your immediate family. Because not all of us was born up in this way and raised up in this way. Many of us were. And you had that blessing upon you. But some of us came into this way after we had became adults. What were some of the things that you feel that the Most High used to choose you from the people in your family? Maybe you might have a certain characteristic or certain personality of all the rest of your family. Maybe you might be a young woman who felt like you were going to keep your virginity, and I'm going to hold sex as a sacred thing, and I'm not just going to give myself to any and every old body. Maybe you see or you feel that power or that blessing for those reasons. Maybe it may be. You know, there are many reasons, but you have to ask yourself, are you still holding up to what you felt the reason was why the Most High chose you and left so many others behind? Because there's a lot of our people who are not walking in the ways of the Almighty. Even in our immediate family, we have that situation to be true. Our immediate blood, many of them don't worship or serve the Creator in a manner in which they should. But yet we have been fortunate. We have been blessed. The Almighty have shown us mercy. And we're here today to give him his praise. Remember, family, if you got a question, you can just type your question in the room, and Creator willing, I'll do my best to read it and to give you the proper answer if the Most High allows. Other than that, let's get busy. Last question. Are you living for that reason today? Whatever it is that you feel the Most High chose you from the midst of so many, are you living for that reason today? So if it was because of your chastity, because you see marriage as a sacred thing? Are you still living, holding marriage to be highly sacred to you today? You understand what I'm saying to you? Or did you allow yourself to come into this lifestyle, this custom, and then you began to change your behavior and begin to water down your treatment toward the Almighty? You have to ask yourself this, family, constantly. You always have to reflect on the energy that you had, the mind state you were in when you first came into the knowledge of this King. Because truly he's worthy of it. Today's lesson is about the power of prayer. And we're going to come today out of the first chapter of 2 Kings chapter 20. So turn with me, please, to 2 Kings chapter 20. We're going to read a little bit about King Hezekiah, one of our forefathers. Well, he may not be everybody's forefathers, but one of our forefathers who taught us one of the essential things of prayer. Jedediah says, let me back up a little bit and see what it is Jedediah say. I think the Most High, the Supreme Creator, chose me from birth. I have died 1,000 times and delivered by the Most High. May the Most High be praised. And it's good, my brother, that you even acknowledge that. Antoinette, Shabbat Shalom. Melissa, Shabbat Shalom. Cain, Shabbat day. Happy Shabbat day. We're going to begin our readings in 2 Kings, chapter 20 in 2 Kings. And what we're reading about right now, family, is the power of prayer. Through this lesson, we're going to teach you the sincerity and the severity of prayer, how to pray, and how to separate yourself from the idolatrous behavior that you may have learned in those religions and customs and practices of those other nations that you may have been practicing. Okay? Shabbat Shalom. Rick. Here we go. We're in 2 Kings chapter 20. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and the prophet Isaiah the son of Amos came unto him, and said unto him, Thus saith the Creator. He says, Set thy house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Now the Most High prophesied through the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos, unto the king that you're going to die. Now this king, this prophet was renowned. Everybody understood. Everybody knew of Isaiah. So they knew that the words that he speak will come to pass. So when Isaiah the prophet came and he spoke unto King Hezekiah, you best believe Hezekiah trembled in his inward parts, because he knew that the words of Isaiah would definitely come to pass, because he had been proven to be a servant, a prophet, anointed by the Most High for the duty of prophethood. So I say to you, family, how many times in your life did you have a severe situation in your life where you were next to death, or felt you was about to be relieved from this life, or you got some type of illness or sickness or pain or disease or something inside of you, and you were fearful for your life, like the king Hezekiah? Shabbat Shalom, Booker. Ak Rashad, Rick, Shabbat Shalom, you all. See, because don't separate yourself from this book and think that this book is talking to others. This book is speaking to you. And you have to internalize these scriptures when you read them. The Creator left all these things on record for a reason. For us to get the enrichment and the knowledge of our forefathers, so that we can take it into this level of generation in which we live today. This lesson that we're bringing forward is about the power of prayer. Hezekiah, his lesson, his mission, his purpose right here has been left on record for us to absorb. 2 Kings chapter 20. Hezekiah just received a message that he was about to die from the prophet Isaiah, son of Amos. And he actually believed it because he knew Isaiah was a verified prophet of the Almighty. So he was fearful in his heart. He cried like a little baby. That's how severe and afraid he was, just like you did, and just like I've done plenty of times. That energy that he utilized when he cried like a baby, that you utilized, that I've utilized, that energy is the beginning of the power of prayer. And most of us have no understanding or knowledge. We think that just because we open our mouths and say some words to the Creator, that we're praying. We're not. We're mimicking behavior that we use on mortal man. We talk to mortal man in the same way that we pray unto the Creator. We talk to our Nasheen, our Ish, our brothers and sisters, our boss. We speak unto them in the same manner. The power of prayer is not just the words that come out of your mouth, but it's the spirit that emanates from your essence when you reach out unto the Father in prayer. And that power doesn't come from you just opening your mouth and speaking words. That power comes from deep down inside of your essence. And a lot of us have lost that. We have forgotten. We don't even know what it's like to really praise this King like he deserves. To really make that spiritual connection with our Father in a manner in which he deserves. Many of us have forgotten and lost that. We think just because we get on our knees and pray, or because we stop wherever we at and say something. Now, I will admit that is acknowledging the Almighty, but that's not the power of prayer. Prayer has the ability to heal the sick, to make the blind see, to make a situation in your life that seems to be impossible, possible. Prayer has that ability to cause the spiritual realm to favor you spiritually, causing a physical effect in this realm. So when you make prayer, you're making prayer through a spiritual essence. That spiritual essence resides within you, and it has to come out of you to be effective. And most of us don't do that. Most of us, we just hoop and holler. Or most of us, we will make a prayer, but then we get up and we pretend as if we forget that prayer is a lifestyle. It's a whole physical change that's needed. King Hezekiah didn't forget that. King Hezekiah remember the prayer. I'll do my best, Hakeem. I'll do my best. Just remind me a little later on in the lesson. Yedidiah, remind me a little bit later on in the lesson and I'll do that. King Hezekiah in 2 Kings chapter 20, he remembered what it was to be afflicted, to need the power and the blessings from the Creator. He never forgot it. And this is the reason why we're going to read this today, because this thing that we call prayer, it's not prayer. It's us communicating. It's us conversating. But prayer is a spiritual connection with the Almighty. You should almost never pray to the Most High when you're unclean. And I say almost because if you are in a dying need, an emergency, an extreme emergency, then yes, you must approach the Creator. When you approach the Most High, you should always ask the Most High for permission to approach Him. Abitenu, Salakli Kiatot, Asim, Ashianakanu, Lifneata Abi. Salakli, we Salaklanu. Always ask the Most High for forgiveness of you, Salakli, and all of your people, Salaklanu, all of us. Ask the Most High for permission before you approach Him and before you ask for forgiveness. Ask the Most High for permission. I can't express that anymore because you are always in an unclean condition, mostly all the time. So it's best that you ask the Almighty before you approach, for permission to approach, before He takes and rubs you out. All right? And He will rub you out if He sees fit. Or He'll just ignore your prayer. Or He'll allow some spirits to come in and get you. And when the spirit gets you, you don't understand it, but when the spirit gets you, what happens is you begin to get tested. with different things through life. A spirit will enter into you and cause you to feel like you want to now commit adultery. You're being tested to see what it's like. A spirit will enter into you to cause you to feel like you want to steal something. A situation will come up and make you feel like you want to steal something. You're being tested through your life. And a lot of times the Most High allows these spirits to come on to us, come within us, and to be a part of us for a period of time because he's testing us. That spirit entered us because we didn't properly approach him. And what I'm suggesting to you as family, when you approach the Most High, you always ask permission before you approach unto the Creator. Let's see what our Father does. Hezekiah. 2 Kings chapter 20, verse 2. After he received the message from the prophet Isaiah that he was about to die, he then says, then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Creator. First thing he did after the prophet came in and told him he's about to die, the very first thing he did, was turn and pray to the Almighty. The very first thing he did. Now, if you sit in the doctor's office and you hear that bad news that you're about to die, you got 6 months to live, what's the first thing you do? The first thing you do is imagine everything that's going on in your life and what you're going to miss and who you're going to miss. And I don't want to die right now. I don't think it's time for me to go. You don't even think about the Most High first. But the very first thing that King Hezekiah did, and he may have done a lot of other things, but the first thing this author said he did was face the wall and pray to the Almighty. Pray to the Almighty. And watch what he says. He says, I beseech thee, O Creator, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect mind, and have done that which is good in thy sight. He's acknowledging the Most High, but he's causing the Most High to remember all the things that he had done in his lifetime that the Most High was pleased with. Hezekiah was known as one of our most righteous kings. And Hezekiah wept sore. He cried like a baby because he was fearful to death. There were so many things left in his life that he had not accomplished. I mean, I know you all, most of us are adults. And I know you can imagine just what it will be like if the prophet came to you today and told you that you were about to die. I know what you would feel because I felt it myself. And I cried like a baby. Believe me, I did. And Hezekiah wept sore. What he did in his weeping, and this is what you have to learn, a lot of us have to learn, even me, what we have to learn is weeping, a real serious cry, has a way of opening up a man's spirit, a man's essence, so that now that man can communicate with the one on high, with the Almighty. You know, a real prayer opens up your essence. And a lot of times what precedes that prayer is a cry. It's a fast. It's a weeping. It's a moaning. It's a grievous sadness. These things oftentimes open us up to allow our spirit to step out and reach out unto the Almighty. And this is something that we have to remember. Shaket, hold on a second, please. Sound like somebody's at the door. Give me a second, please. Zedekiah, please forgive me. It opens up our essence so that we can reach out to the Most High. On a spiritual level, it allows our essence to touch Him. Now, I don't mean a physical touch. I mean to touch Him where He can hear our prayers. The Most High says, and the prophet writes, and it came to pass before Isaiah was going out into the midst, into the middle of the court, that the word of the Creator came unto him saying, now this was after the king had just got finished making prayer. Turn again and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people, thus saith the Creator, the Elohim of Dawid, thy father. I have heard thy prayer, and I have seen thy tears. See, those tears are important to the Almighty. Not no fake crocodile tears, but real tears when you really hurt inside your essence. Those are real powerful tears. It's energy being released from you, though. A lot of us don't understand that. But it's energy being released from us. The Most High says, I heard your prayers, and I have seen thy tears. He says, behold, he says, I will heal thee on the third day. Thou shalt go up unto the house of the Creator, and I will add unto thy days 15 years. Hezekiah cried unto the Most High. The Most High acknowledged that he heard Hezekiah's prayer and that he saw Hezekiah's tears. He understood the severity of what Hezekiah was experiencing. Then the Most High required something of him, just like he's going to require something of you for every prayer that you pray. Oftentimes he requires of us, it's a lifestyle that he wants us to live. You don't pray to the Almighty and then just get up from that prayer and go do whatever you want to do out there in the streets. Live any old kind of way and treat people any kind of way that you want to treat people. That's not prayer. So I don't care what the motion was that you went through on the floor. That's not prayer. If you want to pray to the Almighty, you got to do what he requires of you, like he requires something of King Hezekiah. He says to the king, I want you to get up and go. On the third day unto my house. Come to my house, and then I'll heal you. Something was required of him just like something is required of us. So I ask you, family, for that prayer you prayed just last night, what was required of you? What is it that was required of you by the Creator for the prayer that you prayed unto him? We have to keep this in mind, family, because the Most High always requires something for something. You don't get something for nothing. Everything comes at a price. And what I'm saying to you, family, is when you pray, the best price that you can give for that prayer to come true is to remain loyal to the lifestyle that the Creator has given to you to live through these laws and commandments. He's given to us the instructions that we have the ability to approach him. He's given to us the secret. But it's up to us to fulfill that covenant, to fulfill our portion or our duty unto him by changing our behavior and our lifestyle. A lot of us wonder why Israel is in the same condition or worse condition than we were yesterday. A lot of the reason is because we have not changed our bad habits. And our bad habits seem to get the most of us and take over us. Shabbat Shalom, Uzi. Uziel. Ro, Shabbat Shalom, Ro. And Medina, Shabbat Shalom. Our bad habits seem to have a way of not leaving us, although we ask the Creator for something special. We ask the Most High to deliver us from a condition, to heal our children, to protect our family, or to provide us with food, clothing, shelter, raiment, wealth. But what have we done to demand that from the Creator? You know, many of us continue on after that prayer and we get up and we live that same lifestyle that we lived prior to the prayer, thereby causing nothing to have an effect in our lives. Mikael, Shabbat Shalom. Benjamin, Shabbat Shalom. King Hezekiah, we're reading in 2 Kings chapter 20. I'm going to start back at verse 6. He says, and I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria. Now, just how Hezekiah had 15 years added to his life. And because of that, the Most High delivered him and everything that he had dominion of out of the hand of captivity of the Assyrians. The Most High can do the same thing with you, with your family. You know, men, we are the heads of our household, supposedly. And in most cases, this is the way it's supposed to be. So by you living a certain lifestyle, I'm not going to say keep the laws, keep the commandments when you choose. It's a whole lifestyle that you have to live. And when you incorporate these laws and these customs and these styles into your life, it becomes who you are. You would actually dream law. If you find yourself today having dreams that violates the laws of the Almighty, that lets you know that you have a lot more work to do internally to get yourself right before the Creator. But if you sleep in your dream, even in your dream, you don't violate the laws of the Creator, because you will be tested. And your dream world is real. A lot of people don't want to believe that, but it is. It's another level of existence. You will even be tested in your dreams whether you truly serve the Most High or not. And when you wake up from that dream and you see that you done committed a grievous sin, a grievous act, you done did something that you know you wouldn't do in real life, yes you would. If you was tested right under a certain situation, yes you would. And it is because we have not, in many cases, made the laws of the Most High a lifestyle for us. We wear our fringes. Many of us who wear these types of fringes, or whatever type of fringe we wear, you know, we wear 100% natural fabric in our clothes. Your garments are supposed to be 100% natural fabric. You're not supposed to gossip. You're supposed to love your brother. You might not like the way your brother moves. That's the spirit that possesses him that you don't like. But your brother himself, you're commanded to love your brother. Okay? It's a certain way that we do things that the Most High says for us that has to become a lifestyle for us. And once we incorporate these things as our lifestyle, then many things will begin to change for us as a people. That's part of the problem. We haven't incorporated these things into our lifestyle. Many of us are just Shabbat keepers. You know, Shabbat come around and all of a sudden we holy and righteous on Shabbat. And almost right before sunset, Shabbat almost over, we out back into the world again, giving the world the best of us. And we don't become that righteous Hebrew Israelite again until Shabbat day. That's a disgrace, that's a dishonor to the Most High King. We are to become servants of the Most High always, conditional. And our prayers are heard because of our servitude to this great King. That's how our prayers are heard. This is how you can heal your household and save your household, because of your desires to walk in the manners of the Creator. And Isaiah said, take a lump of figs. And they took and laid it on the boil, and he recovered. And Hezekiah said unto Isaiah, what shall be the sign that the Creator will heal me? A lot of us, we go on in this life and we leave many things of this life out of our servitude toward the Creator. King Hezekiah didn't do that. Just by somebody saying the Most High is going to do something for you wasn't enough for the king. He had to test the Most High. Prove to me that you're going to heal me. Once the Creator proves to you something, usually you never turn back. So I submit to you today, family. Ask yourself, what is the Most High proving to you that He is who He is? That His existence is supreme? What have the Almighty proven to you to cause you to continue to walk in His direction and give Him His praise? Okay? You must understand that this is not a thing where you just worshiping the Creator because somebody told you to or forced you to. The Most High don't want you to serve Him like that. He wants you to come to Him voluntarily and willingly, of your own accord. He don't want you to serve Him because you have to and you feel forced and pressured. He wants you to serve Him voluntarily. So ask yourself, family, what do you expect from the Creator? What do you demand from the Creator through your actions and lifestyle? What's the reason why the Creator chose you from all the people of the earth and all the people in your immediate family? And are you living for that reason today? Prayer. Many do it. Many desire to know it, but just a few understand its true strength. Prayer isn't just words that one would say, but prayer is a lifestyle that one must live in order for a prayer to become reality. Oftentimes, when one most desperately is in need of something, he or she commands into themselves a different spirit. And once you command into yourself a different spirit, you're now opening up the channels of prayer. You're now opening up the ability of communicating with the Almighty, not on a physical level, but on a spiritual level, on the level of ether, the level of energy is what you begin to do. That's how you are to pray every time that you go before the Almighty, with that same energy and conviction. One that causes them to begin to think or focus on one particular desired thing much more often. That means that whatever that prayer is that you've fought on, that you've asked of the Most High for, you begin to concentrate on that thing. Whatever that thing is, focus on that thing much more often. To the level where that thing is incorporated into your natural behavior, even when you're not praying anymore. When you get up from the ground and you think that you're not praying mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you are still praying. Because you have incorporated that prayer or that desire into your lifestyle. It has become a part of you. This is how you pray. I don't know what those other people taught you that call themselves servants of the Most High. I don't know what they taught you, but I'm teaching you the secrets or the mystery of prayer. The things that are needed and necessary for your prayers to be manifested in your life. The thought of the desire becomes a focus point in silent meditation and concentration. Every other thing or thought in the person's mind takes second place to this one desire. That's how you pray. A prayer must come from the pit of one's own consciousness, deep inside of one's own soul. And once spoken through the mouth, the importance why it must come out through your mouth is because the mouth has power. The vibration of the words now take effect in this realm of existence and cause things to happen. The vibration or the sound is a spiritual effect. Once you speak that prayer out of your mouth, no matter how low or how high you speak it, you must speak it out of your mouth. And it has a great power in this realm of existence. A prayer must come from the pit of one's own consciousness, deep inside of one's own soul. And once spoken through the mouth, it now takes on life in this realm of existence. But it must continuously be fed properly in order that it grows and become exactly what the person who praying the prayer are requesting. Its food is thought. It grows through the mind constantly, desiring it and focusing on it daily. Once spoken, it doesn't need to be spoken again. You don't have to keep praying on the same thing over and over and over and over as if the Most High didn't hear you. Once you speak a prayer, the Most High heard your prayer. But now He's waiting for you because now something is required of you for you to do. And we have to remember to do these things. It's like if you go to the supermarket and you want to purchase something, or you need something for yourself, you don't pick it up, put it in your pocket and steal it and keep running out the store. You see, same thing with prayer. Something is required of you with prayer. When you walk into the prayer chamber and you request your prayer, you tell the Creator what you desire or would like. Now, once you leave that prayer chamber, it's something that you have to do to pay or appease the Almighty for what you requested. And what you have to do is incorporate it in your lifestyle to become a certain way, to live your life a certain way, to keep and abide by these laws, statutes, and commands that He has placed before you. Why did the Creator choose you from all those members of your family, all those people in your household? Why did He choose you? What was it so special about you that caused the Most High to say, I want him, or I want her, and He brought you to Himself? Why is that? What was it about you? What that goes to show me is that you have what it takes to serve the Creator. You have it. You have to develop it within yourself. Do you know who you are, Israel? Because many of us do not know who we are. Sure, we know we're Hebrew, but we really don't know who we are and the power that we possess. Many of us don't. Because us living in this lifestyle in the midst of these heathens and practicing this heathenistic behavior, we have lost contact of our true essence and our true power. And that is with the Most High Himself. Okay, Medina. Saying thanks is not prayer. Saying thanks is showing appreciation. And I respect that. I respect that. We must always say, thank you, Creator, or Toda Abi. We must always take time out of our day to acknowledge the Most High, as Medina, she brought forward. Now, let me say something to you. Women, when you're on your cycle, the word for your menstruation in Hebrew is nida. When you're on your nida, women, you shouldn't approach the Most High in prayer. But you should do what the sister said and acknowledge the Most High. Say thank you and keep it moving. Take time out of your day. We at Temple Kifarim, 3 days, 3 times out of a day, we pray to the Almighty. No matter what our condition is, we acknowledge Him if we're unclean and say, thank you, Almighty, thank you, Creator, and bow and keep it moving. And if we're in a position where we're able to pray, we ask the Most High for permission to approach, and then we make prayer 3 times a day. 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and before you go to bed. Now, you can pray as much as you like, but we would ask that you would join us, because the more of us doing these things together, the more power we have in our prayers. Okay? This is why we do this. Once you speak a prayer, you must meditate on it and live it through your actions in your life. It must become acquaintance with you at every opportunity given. Upon the request, and soon you will have the most desired thoughts of your mind. Every opportunity that you have after you make prayer, you incorporate that prayer in your lifestyle, in how you walk. Let's say you pray to the Creator for strength. Let's say physical strength, spiritual strength. Well, that spiritual strength is going to come to you, but you're also going to be tested to see if you have achieved what it is that you requested. You allow that spirit to take hold of you, and you walk out in the confidence that now you have been elevated to a higher level of understanding. Okay? So you walk with that spiritual strength upon you, which means that you don't allow evil or negativity to cohabit within you. You follow me? You have now changed your behavior. You have become a better being. You have become a more pure being. Your essence is more pleasing to the Creator than it was prior. We have to understand that, family. If one was to pray to become righteous and to live a righteous lifestyle, and after the prayer he rose from his face to the earth, but continued in his daily activities contrary to the very thing he prayed for, he has just made the power of prayer unto the Almighty unreal, and he has caused the power within himself to fade away. This person has no idea of what prayer is all about. You can have or be whatever you desire if you have your energies gathered together. That's the power of prayer, to gather your energy, your resources together. How many of you have ever known a person, or maybe even yourself has been this person, when a tragedy happens in the person's life, like a car accident or an accident that their eyes were badly damaged to the point where they were in jeopardy of losing their sight, or when they, upon a routine visit to the doctor's office, the doctor informs them of a cancerous tumor in their lungs, in their kidneys, or disease destroying your kidneys, and informs them. How many of you have ever experienced something like that? Had that type of warning from the doctor about what's about to happen or what's going on with you in your life. And that doctor tells you you have 6 months to live. In either situation, most people that believe in the Almighty will be at their best behavior. Most people who lives their lives to please the Creator will be at their best behavior. Upon getting this news, the severity or the impact of that news causes your essence to open up. And it causes your spirituality to almost step outside of you when you pray to this King. It causes you to open up. And that connection, that divine connection that you have at that particular time is unlike the connection that you had prior to hearing that news. Usually, after hearing such a thing, you begin to incorporate all those lessons that you've learned in your lifestyle to the Creator in a different way. Usually they're at their best within that time, seeking to gain mercy from the Father because He is able to heal all sicknesses, and He created the eyes so that He can return one's sight unto Him. But at the time of the hearing of the possibility of living without these things, one would instantly summon a more perfect spirit upon oneself and transform instantly. Instantly, you turn from darkness, or let's say evening time when you was in the middle of living a righteous life and an evil life. You still in the middle. You haven't made that change yet completely. You're still stuck walking that path, straddling the fence, choosing two masters to serve. You're still stuck in that realm. But upon hearing such devastating news about you possibly losing your life, you lean more toward that side of righteousness. You begin to serve the Creator like you should have served the Creator from the beginning. You open up those portals so that you can communicate with the Almighty, so that the Most High can bring blessings down upon you. He will become, or she will become, so convincing to man that he desires to change and will become a different person. All the time while in the hospital, he commands this new spirit upon himself or herself through the methods mentioned earlier, and rejects the old evil spirit of his or her past. Even the non-believers will begin to find religion, as they call it. They will begin to find religion, or whatever he supposed is the correct path to live by. But soon after he receives word that he is able to see, or that the disease is miraculously disappeared, or one begins slowly to allow the old evil spirits to creep in, almost immediately after they receive word that they are now healed, that the disease is no longer there, that you're not going to die after 6 months. Almost immediately after they receive word, they return back to their old behavior. They return back to their old habits. Think, family. When you first came into this way and you learned about the glory of the Most High King, how were you at that moment? How was your spirit at that moment? How did you see life? How did you envision life at that time, at that moment? And the longer you begin to walk in this way, the slowly but surely, you begin to creep back into a lot of those old habits that you used to have. Those things are not good. It's just like that person who was on their deathbed and received message that they had 6 months to live. All of a sudden they changed their behavior. But that was only to get what they wanted. They forgot that after they got what they wanted, something was required of them. And that thing that was required of them was a lifestyle change. A lifestyle change. And a lot of that is why Israel, Shalom, Sister Claire, a lot of that, Azariah, Shabbat Shalom, Shemaiah, Shabbat Shalom, a lot of that is the reason why Israel is in the condition we're in today. Because once we got what we wanted from the Almighty, a little bit of relief, a whole lot of mercy. Once we got what we wanted, slowly but surely, we begin to slip back into those old ways, our old habits. And I'm guilty of these things as well myself, family. This is how I can sit back and say, because I learned a long time ago that as I stand here and speak to the people of the Most High, I'm speaking to myself as well. I'm not ignorant of those things. Victoria, Shabbat Shalom. I'm not ignorant of those things. Rob, Shabbat Shalom. As I speak unto you, the first person that I speak to is me. Okay? I understand what I had to do. When I walked that walk, the mistakes that I made in my life, I'm able now to stand before you and express those things in a form of a lesson so that you don't have to make those mistakes in an attempt to prevent you from making those mistakes that I've made. These are the reasons why I do what I do and live like I live and give you what I have to give. Shabbat Shalom, Zakein. Shabbat Shalom. All right? You allow those spirits to creep in and take over you once again. That old saying is definitely a true saying, that time is a true teller of all things. Time is the true teller of all things. Prayer, many do it. Many desire to know it, but just a few understand its true strength. Prayer isn't just words that one would say, but prayer is a lifestyle that one must live in order for the prayer to become reality. When we pray, we are not to sit back and wait for something to miraculously fall upon us. We must actively summon the prayer and favor from the Creator by becoming what we requested. By living out our desires and trusting in the Father to give unto us the ability to do it or to become it more frequently unto that new spirit that we consumes, that we have upon us, totally consume us. All right, we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 20, verse 40 to 41. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 40 to 41. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 40 to 41. It says that they confess with their iniquities. If they confess their iniquities and the iniquities of their forefathers, and with their trespasses, but they have trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and have brought them into the land. Into the land of their enemies, If then their uncircumcised minds be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquities, then will I redeem my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Israel, and also remember, and I will remember the land. Thank you very much, my brother. I want to read that again. We're going to read to you again out of Leviticus, the 26th chapter. Powerful, powerful verse. I just love it when the people that's listening helps out and participate to make this a great event. It's more memorable or memorable at that time. It's greatly appreciated, my brother. Yedidiah. Leviticus 26, verse 40. If they shall confess their iniquities and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespasses which they trespass against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I have also walked contrary to them, and have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised minds be humbled, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. Great blessings. May the Most High be praised. There are so many places in these scriptures where we can go and travel, and we will see so many things pertaining to prayer. Now, one of the things that I wrote down was, it ain't no one, it's a whole bunch of them. In one of the proper procedures of prayer, and how we are to pray to the Creator, we are to bow ourselves to the earth in the most severe prayer, when it's really the Most High that we're trying to get attention of. We are to bow ourselves to the earth. There are many of our forefathers who have done such a thing. They bow themselves to the earth. But there's something that I want to read. I have to go off memory. I believe it's Zechariah, the 13th. I want to say Zechariah, the 13th chapter. So let's go there. See if it's Zechariah 13. Zechariah 13th chapter. Verse 6, is it? Verse 6. Let me back up to Zechariah 13. I'm going to start at verse 1. And I'm going to lead down to verse 6, because verse 6 is the PowerPoint. I want to share some things with you. There were a lot of things that was left on record that escapes our mind of understanding when it comes to how to get a connection with the Creator. A lot of things that the prophets did, that they allowed them to open up those portals to the Creator. Punishment, affliction, pain, suffering opens up those portals to give you access to the Almighty. This is why the Most High tells us on the Day of Atonement we are to fast. That fast means to bring affliction upon your soul in some type of way, shape, or fashion. The men of old, who knew most and best how to get in contact and communicate with the Creator, afflicted themselves daily. They stayed in the service of worship to the Almighty. They stayed in that service. They wore sackcloth and ashes underneath of their garments, so that they will cause affliction to their body constantly, so that they will have that portal open and communicate with the Almighty. They did things with their hands where they would burn their hands over candles for a period of time to cause affliction to their flesh, to open up those portals to communicate with the Almighty. They will restrain themselves from food to cause affliction upon their bodies, to open up those portals to have communications with the Almighty. There are many things that one can do to open up the portals of communication so that you can communicate with the Almighty on high. So I want to read here in the book of Zechariah, 13th chapter, so that you in the listening audience can have a little bit more of a communication channel open up to the Almighty. In that day there shall be a fountain open to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And that fountain is here. And we have to take advantage of that fountain and utilize it. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Creator of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered. And it shall also come, I will also cause the prophets and the unclean spirits to pass out of the land. And it shall come to pass that when they shall yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that began him shall say unto him, thou shalt not live. Now he's talking about false prophets. He's talking about unclean prophets. He's talking about prophets that may have walked and served him, but he was no longer pleased with their actions for whatever reason. Thou shalt not live, for thou speakest lies in the name of the Creator. And his father and his mother that begot him shall thrust him through when he prophesied. And it shall come to pass in that day that the prophets shall be ashamed, every one of his vision, when he has prophesied. Neither shall they wear rough garments to deceive. Those rough garments, affliction, it brings affliction upon their flesh or their body. And a lot of people wore those rough garments to make people believe that they were on the right path of the Most High, that they were servants of the Almighty. Because a rough garment was a sign of affliction. You was constantly causing your soul to be afflicted while you walked through the streets. And in our customs, our people understood what that meant. That this person must be a holy man. This person must be sacred to the Almighty. So they wore these garments to cause affliction upon their bodies. But a lot of them was deceivers. A lot of them wasn't truly prophets of the Almighty. They might have been one time, but they wasn't at this particular time. But yet, they still wanted the people to uphold them as if they were. So they will wear these garments to deceive the people and make the people think that they are what they're not. So these rough garments are something that you wear upon your flesh to cause your essence to be opened up to the Creator. This was one of the habits of a prophet. Verse 5, but he shall say, I am no prophet, because he's trying to spare his life. He's going to say, I am a husband, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And one shall say unto him, what are these wounds in thy hands? They had wounds in their hands because what they would do is they would sit over top of candles and they would pray and meditate with their hands, and the fires of the candle will cause heat and affliction in the center of their hands. And that will also cause affliction upon their soul, and it will cause the portals to open up to the doorways of the heavens where their prayers or their requests, or they could commune with the Almighty or the spiritual beings on the spiritual level. They will sit over top of these things and pray and meditate while they're fasting in their sackcloth and ashes, restraining from food. And they will do these things as a means of having communication on the spiritual level. He said, well, what are these wounds in thy hands? He said, then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friend. They're lying. They're deceiving because they're afraid they're going to be put to death. What I'm trying to share with you, family, is that there are many different ways for you to open up that channel of communication with the Almighty. Some of those ways have been lost from us. And many people do not have the beginning procedures on how to make prayer. Before you make prayer, you always ask the Creator for permission to approach Him. Because if you're in a condition where you're not clean, you could open up that doorway and allow evil spirits to come into you. You could lose your life, or you can cause yourself not to be accepted by the Creator. So always ask the Most High for permission to approach Him in prayer. Always. Then, when you begin your prayer, after you've asked for permission, you should always acknowledge the Most High. Blow His head up. Tell Him great things about Himself. You are the King of all creation. It is Thou who has made us, who have made man upon the earth. It is Thou who has blessed us with life, food, clothing, and shelter. Blow His head up. Acknowledge the Most High. Give Him His praise and His respect. Let Him know that you're His servant. And then after you do that for a few, then you begin to thank Him for what He's done for you and all that He do. And then you begin with your request, if there's a request. Sometimes, as Sister Medina brought forward, there may not be a request. It just may be simply that you want to come and thank the Most High. 5 o'clock in the morning, we at Temple Kifarim pray for anything that you choose. But at 5 o'clock, you are mandatory that you thank the Most High for allowing you to awaken to another beautiful day. 2 o'clock in the afternoon is called the Zadika prayer. Some people say Zadeka. I say Zadika. 2 o'clock is the Zadika prayer, where you pray for the nation of Israel. You don't pray for yourself at 2 o'clock. You pray for everyone else, and you pray for the nation of Israel. And then before you go to bed, you pray for anything else that you choose. But you thank the Most High for whatever it is that the Most High has done for you. You honor Him, you praise Him, and you respect Him. And you thank the Almighty. These are the proper methods of making prayer. And as you read through the scriptures, these things will be revealed to you. Like if you read the book of Daniel's the 9th chapter. If you read that, Daniel makes a prayer in the 9th chapter of Daniel's unto the Creator. It's something I want to mention to you prior to that also. I have, let me go grab this for you. You should invest yourself in one of these. This is a prayer rug. And we would take this prayer rug and we place it on the floor and we pray. We face it toward the east. And we would pray to the Almighty on a prayer rug. I mean, think about it. The floors you walk on daily are going to be the same floors that you pray to the Almighty in. Now, this prayer rug is 100% cotton. Even your rug should be 100% cotton, wool, or linen. Get 100%. Be careful and mindful of the type of things that you even approach the Most High on. So this prayer rug, I went out and searched it out. It's 100% cotton. I had to get it that way. It might cost you a little extra dollars to get, but it's worth it because you're giving that, you're donating that to your service of the Creator. So you take that prayer rug, you lay on the floor, you face the east, and you give your prayer up to the Most High in that order. You ask the Most High for permission to approach Him. Then you blow His head up and let Him know how you appreciate Him, who He is. He's almighty, all-powerful, the Creator of all creation. You let Him know that you acknowledge who He is before you come into His presence. Then you thank Him for all the things that He's done for you in your life. And how He helped you and blessed you and protected you and strengthened you and gave you food, clothing, shelter, and raiment. Whatever it is that you have and you're grateful for it. Then you begin to pray for whatever it is that you are praying for at that particular time. Whatever it may be. Daniel understood these things. In Daniel the 9th chapter, he says, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by book the number of years, wherefore the word of the Creator came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolation of Jerusalem. He says, and I set my face unto the Creator to seek by prayer and supplication, with fasting, with sackcloth, and with ashes. See, these things are some of the things that I just discussed with you about in the book of Zechariah. With fasting, prayer, sackcloth, and ashes, he approached the Most High in a proper manner. Now, a lot of our forefathers didn't necessarily have to ask Most High for permission because they already was in a clean or pretty much spiritual condition. They lived this lifestyle. They wasn't faking it. They wasn't walking in error and sin like we do. So you may not see that verbatim spelled out in the scriptures, but the Most High will tell you in scriptures that if you are unclean, you do not approach unto him. You read that in the book of Leviticus, the 15th chapter, near the end, when he's speaking about the woman of Hanida. He says that you do not, let me go there so that I can read it. Leviticus, the 15th chapter. He's speaking about a woman when she on Hanida, how she is not to approach, or a man, if he becomes unclean for that reason. You need a prayer rug. Victoria, you have to go buy one, sis. You have to go buy one. Torah Rabbah for your blessing. In Leviticus, the 15th chapter, the 31st verse, it says, thus shall you separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. The only reason why we went to the tabernacle was to approach the Most High. The Most High is telling us here that if we're unclean for any reason, we're not to approach him. So the way that we try to approach him and keep it right is that we ask for permission to approach before we make prayer. Okay? So that we do not defile his tabernacle, his sanctuary that is amongst us. Okay? Daniel 9 verse 3. And I set my face unto the Creator to seek by prayer and supplication with fasting and with sackcloth. So when Daniel would pray, Daniel would actually put his sackcloth on his body, causing the affliction to be so his soul can be released. So that energy, that the spiritual energy that he has, can open up portals to the heavens. With sackcloth and ashes, he would take mud or dirt or ashes and put them upon his face so that he has no pride or arrogance. It's like a humility type thing that they will put upon their faces. They would fast. He would fast in his stomach where he wouldn't eat food, which also caused his affliction or his soul to be afflicted and his portals to be opened up. We have to learn these things, family. We have to learn this type of behavior. When we want to return back unto the Most High in full force, these are the type of practices that we must begin to do. Watch what he says. And I prayed unto the Creator my Elohim, and made my confession, and said, O Creator, after he finished asking for permission to go before the Almighty, preparing himself with sackcloth and ashes, and opening up his portal, he prostrated to the ground, and this is what he says. O Creator, great and dreadful Elohim, keeping in the covenant and mercies unto them that love him, and to them that keep his commandments. Remember what I said? You got to get in. Before you do anything, you pray to the Most High. You blow his head up. You tell him how powerful he is, how mighty he is, how you revere him, how there is none like unto him. That's what Daniel did. Daniel knew the keys to prayer. He brought the Most High up. And then he says, we have sinned. He acknowledged what he has done. We have sinned and have committed iniquity. He acknowledges his transgressions before the Almighty. And have done wickedly, not just him, but his forefathers as well. Anak knew. Remember earlier when I said, forgive us of our sins? Salak lanu, Abi? That means forgive us, Father, for our sins. Salak li, Abi, which means forgive me of my sins. Salak lanu, Abi, forgive us all for our sins. Okay? Forgive us all. We have sinned and have committed iniquity and have done wickedly and have rebelled even by partaking from thy precepts and from thy judgments. Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants the prophets, which spake in thy name to our kings, our princes, and our forefathers, to all the people of the land. These things are fact. These things are true. And if any of us desire to serve the Creator, these principles you should incorporate in your life. When you pray, prostrate yourself across the floor in total submission and humility in this manner, in the direction of the east. And what I normally do is when I prostrate, I usually put my hands on my head, put my hands like this on the ground and put my hands on my head and prostrate to the Creator. Because I don't want to get that prostration mark that a lot of Muslims have on their head, on their forehead, that little black. I don't want to get that because I don't want to be mistaken as a Muslim. I pray 3 times a day. So 3 times a day with your face to the earth for any period of time can get you that mark. I don't want that because I don't want to be mistaken for a Muslim. Not that I have anything against my brothers. If that's the path that they choose, and so be it. That's the path they choose. My path is with the Creator of all creation. So I put my hands together like this, and I pray down like that, or like this, so that I don't get that prostration mark on my forehead and be mistaken out here in the streets as a Muslim. You pray, and you always pray toward the east. King Solomon in 2 Kings, he prayed that the Most High would hear our prayers. I believe it's the 8th chapter. Somewhere around verse 32, 34, somewhere around there. He prayed that the Most High would hear our prayers if we face the direction of the temple. So here in America, we face the east. But whatever country you in, you face toward where the temple is in Jerusalem. When I was in Ireland, I think I had to face the north. I don't remember exactly correct, but I think I had to face the north to the west. It should have been the west. I think it's the west. In order to get myself in proper alignment with the Creator. How I knew the direction I was praying was because as the sun rose, I found out where the east was. In my hotel room, I found out where the east was. And when the sun went down, I used those as a judging rod to determine the directions of the east and the west. And then I had to find in reference to where I was, and I prayed in that direction. So if I had to pray with the sun to my left, then I knew to pray with my son to the left. It was been many years ago, so I don't remember everything. Yeah, you have to face Jerusalem. Wherever you at in the earth, you find out where Jerusalem is, and you face Jerusalem. You prostrate yourself on the ground, and you begin your prayer, facing Jerusalem. Now, here's something that a lot of people don't know, a lot of people don't understand, and I get a lot of criticism about this. So I have to find a proper way to approach it. So I'm going to approach it in this manner. The natural things like dirt, the earth, the soil, are things that have spirits, spiritual growth, spiritual essence, on a more concentrated level than the floor in your house. Or the cement that you walk on. The natural dirt or soil has a more spiritual connection with the Almighty. It's like an amplifier. This is why the prophet said he would put ashes on his face. This is why they will prostrate themselves to the earth. There's a word in Hebrew for ground, but then there's a word for Hebrew for earth. And the earth is what a lot of our forefathers would naturally fall down and prostrate themselves onto. The earth. They will fall on the ground, on the natural grass or dirt or whatever it was. So I'm saying this because I have to prepare you for what I'm about to say. The Most High, to get that connection, sometimes you should always go out into the natural earth and make prayer. Even if it's just on your knees. Let your body get into the natural earth. Take off your shoes and feel the soil up underneath your feet. The enzymes from the soil bring enrichment and electric energy to your body. A lot of people don't know these things. but they're not hard to figure out and understand. Remove your shoes, remove your socks, and let your bare feet feel the earth. It's extremely important that the spirit of the earth comes upon you to some degree to magnify your spirit to allow you to get closer to the Creator. This is why a lot of our forefathers will prostrate themselves upon the earth. Not just the ground, but the earth. Okay? Now, well, Prince, where are you trying to take us? When there are times that you have an extreme emergency, a desperate need of the Creator to do something, a powerful time in your life, when you have that need, one of the ways to get the Most High's attention, to get your prayers heard, through the methods that I just explained to you through the whole duration of this lesson, is to go before the Almighty at 12 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night, in the nude. Yes, the natural essence of life will get you there, open up your portals a lot better, a lot cleaner than you coming fully clothed. I'm not saying anything is wrong with you coming fully clothed, but I'm saying the natural way is what the Creator desires most from us. The natural order of things. The way you came into the earth is the manner in which the Most High meant for man to be. Remember, He created man originally naked. And it wasn't until after sin entered into the earth or entered into the mind of man that He clothed them with skins. You understand? Or clothes. Prior to that, Adam and Eve was in the garden in their natural state, their natural condition, because they were innocent. It's a symbol of humility when you go before the Most High in that manner. You don't have to. You don't choose to. None of the things that I mentioned to you today do you have to do. But if you're really looking for something special to take place in your life, it's best that you get yourself in the best condition that you can possibly be. So people can sit back and laugh and try to ridicule these teachings. That's fine. Everybody has the freedom of choice to do as they choose, to do as they please. I'm trying to share with you some things that most people will not try or not be willing to try that I know works. So if you open up yourself to the Almighty in a natural essence, if you happen to be a person with the privacy of a backyard and closed off where nobody can see in your fence, they can't see over your fence, and you have grass in the ground around you, in the dirt, that's a beautiful opportunity for you. Beautiful opportunity. I promise you, the spirit that will come upon you just in the process of taking those steps to do that is unlike any spirit that you've ever felt. Unlike any spirit that has ever entered into you. We speak about the spirit of humility. That is truly a spirit of humility to do such a thing, to give glory and honor to the Most High in your natural essence. So many of you may have never felt it, never experienced it, then don't speak onto it until you try it. It is power, and you will feel it, and you will know it. Are there any questions from anyone in the room before we discontinue our call? If there are any questions in the room, please mention them. Toda Rabah, sis, Victoria. Toda Rabah. Elder Moshe. Toda Rabah. Are there any questions in the room before we disconnect this call? If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. May the Most High be praised. May the Most High be glorified. And may the Most High be uplifted in your minds forever and forever. Thank you for spending this Shabbat day with me. And those of you who are listening to this lesson at a later time, may the Most High be with you as well. Shabbat Shalom Lekor.